There we go. So everybody knows now the meeting is being recorded. And I'm gonna wait a minute for Shannon. Shannon, raise your hand to, I'm sorry, not Shannon, Hannah.
Okay, thank you.
Hannah volunteered, no, Hannah volunteered to take minutes tonight since Beth is visiting family and here, and I hope enjoying her time. So, and we've got more people there. Is Hannah here yet? Hannah?
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, I was kind of waiting to so that you're available for minutes. So, okay, I think we have plenty of people, so we'll go ahead and get started. And the meeting's being recorded for those of you who missed that little part at the beginning. Beth is not here. Hannah's taking minutes. So thank you, Hannah. You get a gold star. And we'll get the meeting started. So have a couple of people who, or I have somebody who asked us to do a quick introduction. So what I'd like to do, I'm just going to call out names, and if everybody can just introduce yourself quickly and whether you're on the board, and that'll be helpful. So Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Davis. I am on the board. I joined in late September.
Okay, and I'm next on my screen. I'm Paula. I chair the board and I'm here. Corey?
Hi, I'm Corey Brennan. I'm in East Queen Anne. I'm not on the board, but I heard about this through Nextdoor actually, so I'm here for the first time.
Good, thank you. Welcome. Jasmine.
Jasmine. I have been on the board for a couple of years now. Lower Queen Anne.
And Jasmine co-chairs our transportation committee. Shannon, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm Shannon Pretorius, and I am on the west slope of Queen Anne. I am not on the board, and it's been a while since I've joined the meeting, but I'm excited to hear about what you all are doing and the new leadership. And so thank you.
Great.
I
Well,
recognize some faces coming on.
good. Nicole?
Hi, Nicole Sweeney. I'm have been on the board for about 1.5 years, I think. So it's like 2 elections ago. I'm the vice chair of the land use committee, and I'm also vice chair of the board newly. So
Yeah.
good to see you.
Congrats. Don?
Yeah, hi. I'm on the council. I'm on the board, chair of the Parks Committee, and a member of NAC.
There you go. Parker? He may have stepped away. Parker Dawson's with us from Councilmember Lewis's office. Sharon?
Hi, I'm Sharon Levine. I'm a long-term member of the board, and I'm on several committees, and I'm liaison to Seattle Pacific University.
Great. Thanks, Sharon. Susan? Susan A. Susan may have stepped away. Catherine?
Hi, Susan Allington, a lifelong Queen Anne resident and business owner. Have been attending the meetings for at least 6 years for council, full council, and mostly transportation. And I'm interested in what's happening on the Hill. And I live on the north side near the 7-way intersection.
Great, thank you. So people keep popping in. So Catherine?
Hi, I'm Kathy Baker, and I live on the west side of the hill, and I am not on the board. And I come to these meetings because I want to keep learning what's going on here.
Okay, thank you. Margaret?
Margaret Okamoto. I've been on the board since 2000. and I am currently a liaison to Picture Perfect Queen Anne, which isn't difficult to be since I also chair the organization.
Thank you. Denny?
And then you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. My name is Denny Bird. I live on Queen Anne. I've been here for, well, of course I guess I could have a business, but I've been here for 25 years plus. I've been on the board about 6 years. I'm the Land Use Review Committee chairperson. And I am also on NAC.
Thank you. Ben Bennett?
For those of you that might not know, I'm sorry, what NAC is? That's a neighborhood advisory committee that works with the port.
Thanks, Denny.
I
Yeah.
throw out these acronyms and then I realize that some of you probably don't know what that is.
We'll get to that too. Yeah, thank you.
It took me a while too.
Ben?
I've been on the council since 2019 and I'm your newly elected treasurer.
Thank you, Ben. Joe Woods?
Hi, Joe Woods. I joined the board in September of this year.
Thank you. Hannah?
Hi, Hannah here, and also joined the board in September.
Thank you. Bill Fay?
Yeah, I'm Bill Fay. I'm not on the board, but I work with Bob Kettle on the Public Safety Committee. I'm the hub captain for the neighborhood community hubs in case of catastrophes.
Thank you. Bob? Quick name and what you are.
Yes. Hi, Bob Kettle. I'm on the board, actually a Queen Anner for 9 years, on the board for 7 years, and chair of the Public Safety Committee with great support from people like Bill Fay. And my family, we live on the northwest side of the hill.
Thanks. Laurel?
I am Laurel. I've been on the council about 1.5 years now, and we live kind of over by Big Howe.
Okay. Carol Jackson?
Oh, thank you. Hi, Paula.
Hi.
I'm Carol Jackson. I'm not a member of the board, and I live on Northwest Queen Anne Hill by Big Hill Park. So I'm seeing some new neighbors here tonight. Thank you, Paula.
Yep, you bet. David Kaplan?
I'm the vice president of the Magnolia Community Council.
Thank you. Glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too. Thank you.
Marina?
Hi, I'm Marina Alvarez. I'm a member of the board and I try to help out land use whenever Denny tells me to.
Good thinking. Linda Schultz?
Unmute, Linda, unmute.
You're muted, dear.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Linda Schultz. I've been on the Queen Anne Hill for about a little more than 30 years. And I've just been getting interested in the council.
Great, thank you. David Barth?
I'm here just observing. I've lived in Queen Anne for about 12 years. Figured it was about time to check.
Thank you. Josh?
Hi, I'm Josh Daniel. I've lived in Queen Anne about 4 years and have been on the board about 1 year. And I help with the newsletter, among other things.
He does the newsletter. Marty Kaplan.
Hi, guys. I'm a longtime Queen Anne resident on the board for about 18 years, but I had to resign because I moved about 200 feet south of Denny.
Okay.
I might add, he used to be, until I got roped into this, the Lurk chair forever, and he did a wonderful job. And I'm still trying to learn like a quarter of what he knows on the top of his head.
You'll get there, no doubt. So, Carol?
I'm Carol Burton. I live in Magnolia. I'm on the Magnolia Community Council. And I joined your meeting today because I was interested in Smith Cove Park.
Thank you.
I have the same question, what happened to the money? As will Dawn, I'm sure.
Kylie?
Hey, Kylie Kaiser here, live at the top of the hill. We've been here for about 3 years, not on the board.
Thanks, great. Steve Groden?
Yeah, we've lived on Queen Anne Avenue for 20 years. Long time residents.
Thank you. I think I've done Carol, unless is there another Carol besides Carol Jackson? Well, okay. Sean?
You did me. I'm Carol Burton.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Sean? Yeah, those little blocks are moving around now.
Hi there, Sean Champagne. Lived in Queen Anne High School since 2011. Been a board member since 2016.
Thank you. Laura Corvey?
Hello, Laura Corby, from Seattle, lived in Queen Anne since 2016, and I've been a board member for 4 years.
Great, thank you. Susan Grant or Suzanne Grant?
Hello, I'm a Queen Anne, long-term Queen Anne resident and strong advocate for saving our urban forest, especially our exceptional trees.
Thank you. Let's see, Pat Drummond.
Hi, I'm Pat Drummond. I've done Queen Anne for 30 years now. I am not a member of the board, but I'm interested in some of the activities that are going on right now.
Thanks, Pat. Jessica Keller.
I am Jessica Keller. I am the editor of the Queen Anne and Magnolia News, a weekly community newspaper that covers Queen Anne and Magnolia.
Thank you. Carol Olwell.
I'm Carol Allwell. I live close to Ken's Market and I'm just an interested neighbor.
Thanks, Carol. Mary Metastasio.
Hi, I'm Mary Metastasio. I am an Uptown resident and a lover and consumer of the arts. And so I want to know what's going on where I live and recreate.
Thanks, Mary. Sorry, I butchered your name.
Everyone does.
Ben Friedman.
Hi, I'm Ben Friedman. I've been a board member for about a year and live in Lower Queen Anne.
Thanks, Ben. And Jessica Gizik.
Hi, Jessica Jezik. I've been a board member for about a year. This year, recently going to start helping out Jasmine as co-chair of the traffic committee, and glad to be here.
Great, thanks. Okay, I think we've covered everybody, I hope. So thanks for doing that. Okay, so we're gonna actually get started with the meeting now because we have a fairly full agenda. We won't be here until midnight, but anyway, so welcome everybody. Is there anybody who is here from the community who has a specific issue they want to speak to? We will definitely make some time for that. Anybody? If not, you're welcome to ask questions as we go along. So, okay, great. I hope everybody on the board has reviewed the minutes from last month's meeting. Are there any questions, corrections? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one correction where they're talking about the stadium that's being built in Inner Bay. They misspelled it.
Okay.
It said I don't have it in front of me, but it needs to be changed to Inner Bay.
Okay, great. I'll make a note of that because spell check always changes Inner Bay. Okay. All right. Ben, the treasurer's report for this month.
For our general fund, it now sits at $256.68. And the appeals fund is sitting at $3,447.23.
Okay, thank
and
you.
I will send that to Hannah.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're going to start with the committee reports now really quickly. So Community Engagement Committee is the first one, and very quickly updates are being made to the Community Council website. If you haven't been there recently, you might just take a stroll around a little bit. It's not going to win any awards, but there's more information there. We're adding resource pages. We have some more information that just came to me today that will be posted on all of our parks and what the amenities are there and so forth. So anyway, take a look. There's more stuff. We have a page for volunteer opportunities if any of you are interested in being a community volunteer. And also we welcome feedback on the website, things you might like to see or things that you think are not worth seeing. There's also a link there to sign up for our monthly meetings if you want to do that and are not on some mailing list that we do. Feel free to sign up for them. You'll get the Zoom notice at least twice, probably. And then the meeting minutes are also there, so you can click on the link and find all of the minutes there as well as other information. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny and Nicole for a report from LERC.
Okay, Nicole, you can help me out because you did a lot of this. So we'll just kind of speak together. For those of you that don't know who Nicole is, she is my right-hand person that helps me so much with LERC. It's unbelievable. She wrote the letter we're going to talk about. All I had to do is read it and it was perfect. And anyway, so we can talk about this together. There's one major thing that came up in the last, let's say 2-3 weeks, and it has to do with upzoning of LR1 zoning. And they want to put more density in, which we don't have a problem with that, or at least the LERC committee doesn't. But is what we are concerned about, and it was unanimous before we sent the letter out, we sent it from LERC, is that we are very concerned about issues that this upzoning is going to do without an EIS. And for those of you that might not know what an EIS is, it's an environmental impact study, and is what the city does is goes through and looks at parking and how it affects the sewer systems and all, you know, the trees, and they should check all that stuff out. Well, what they're trying to do is to adopt this new zoning without looking at any of that. And so is what we've done is, one, we sent a petition out last night. And if you want to sign it, please look for it in your email, and you can sign your name to the petition. And all it basically is saying is that we want you to do an EIS. We're not against the upzoning. We're not against any of that. All we do is we think you need to look at how this could, in the long term, affect our infrastructure and the other effects to the city. So that's all that really is about, is to get them to slow down, because they want to vote on this. Help me, Nicole, but I think it's December 6th or next week.
Yeah, so.
Is that,
go ahead.
I was just going to ask if that was, is that Queen Anne wide?
It's citywide.
Citywide.
So it's a citywide change to zoning.
Yeah.
So all we asked is that they, so what they can do is, it's called an issuance of, like, what is it called?
Determination of non-significance.
Non-significance.
Yep.
And so we just ask that they do the environmental impact statement. Parker, we also forwarded our letter to Councilman Lewis and to the other council members. And, you know, in the hope that because this is a citywide issue and we feel it's a pretty significant issue, it could be potentially something that Councilman Lewis would want to bring his attention to. And so we did share that this morning for your reference.
Thank you. I'll make sure it
Thank
gets
you.
to him.
Yeah, Parker, I'd appreciate you taking that and handing it to him, because I don't want this to turn into the issue like we did with the other DADUs. And because that was kind of the same issue with the EIS. Wasn't that we were against the DADUs, but it was the EIS situation. So I have heard from other people, and I haven't even taken it to the LERC council yet, the committee, excuse me, yet. But this may be something that I think that we may be kicking around the idea of doing another appeal, because there's a lot of people that have really strong feelings about this. And it seems like it's just being pushed through without you know, any really involvement with the city or with the
Yeah.
um,
Parker, they issued the proposal on November 15th. So like a 2-week request for comment with like a vote the week after. And so I think, or, you know, so I think from a community engagement perspective, people would just like to be able to provide more, in a more informed commentary or be more informed about what the impact would be. Hannah, I believe it's a environmental impact study. They basically just look at things like Denny said around the impact of parking, emergency services,
Yeah. No,
exceptional.
I'll be happy to get his eyes on it, and our office can explore what our options are at this point.
Okay, thank you so much.
Parker, can you send me something back what you find out? So just get after.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'll make sure to communicate anything that comes up.
Okay, I'd really appreciate it. I'd really
Absolutely.
And I'm
Okay.
going to interrupt just a minute because there are some things in chat that I want to clarify. So maybe Nicole, if you can put a link to the petition or something in chat. This isn't a letter that we need anybody here to sign, but what you can do to help is to find the link to the petition and then sign it as an individual resident, which many of us have already done. So
Yes, I'll put the link in the chat. I just have to pull it up on my work computer. And the letter is on the Queen Anne. I think Denny, you were going to put it on the Queen Anne Community Council website. So there's like a lurk folder, and the letter should be filed under there for people for you to reference.
Right.
And that letter.
I'll put it
is
up,
in
Nicole.
there.
I got it up.
Yeah, the letter is in the website right now, so you can take a look at it. And before we go any further, we'll get more details. Like I said, we need to go through Lurk first to make sure that we're in sync with what we wanted our next step would be. And then from there, this is a big enough issue that I would want and I think I've really talked to Nicole about this because I've been running around and she's been running around, but I would like the full buy-in from the whole council before we move forward with anything that would be drastic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Marty, you're on here. Do you have anything you want to add to that? I know you're concerned about this.
Well, I'll just give you a couple minutes. For those that don't know, in 2015, the city attempted to do the same thing, basically getting rid of single family zoning through a number of different deals. And they issued a DNS, a determination of non-significance as well, without studying, one thing citywide, which is basically illegal. They didn't ask any neighborhoods, anybody. And so we appealed it in 2015, and in 2016, we prevailed. Hearing examiner found in our favor and required the city to do an environmental impact statement, which is it's a comprehensive study of all the issues that we're all concerned about: the livability, the utilities, the trees, the traffic, and different things like that. So you would have thought that the city learned their lesson at that point, and to ask residents to perform studies to find out if our sewer system and water systems can take the increase in densities, and also to take a more surgical look at where this zoning change and changes should occur. It was blanket, it was citywide. And so there are neighborhoods that have been absolutely destroyed because in 2019, the city council just said, well, let's just do it and not ask anybody. And so they moved ahead with it in 2019. And it hasn't been working because we all know that there's an affordability crisis. And so it's because they really never did a study about what the impacts are. So this is pretty simple. They want to increase density, considerably, which impacts everybody because this density increase can happen in single family neighborhoods. And they should come to all the neighborhoods. They should come to councils, explain it. They should ask questions. They should get input, and they should do studies to prove to everybody and themselves that these new policies do or do not have any impacts. But just to unilaterally in an office decide for themselves that they have no impacts, that's totally illegal. And I'm prepared to challenge it and to appeal it again. We won last time, and that's where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Marty. You guys will be hearing a lot more about this, but I'm going to cut it short so we can move on. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. Anytime.
Hey, Denny, I'm sorry I've had my hand up, but
I'm
that's,
sorry.
that's not working, so that's okay.
That's okay.
But here's my comment from about this. And I can direct this directly to the city council and the mayor. For over 10 years, they have not been able to get out of their own way to pass a tree ordinance. They can't do it. They still can't do it. They promise it by December. They haven't done it yet. And I would look at not only, and I think Councilmember Lewis really needs to begin speaking up and pushing for this. We've gotten help from Alex Peterson. This is ridiculous. They should be ashamed of themselves that they're trying to push this through on 30 days notice. And yet they can't pass a friggin' tree ordinance to save their life. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm rather embarrassed by our city council, as I have been on other things. But this one really fries me that they're trying this and yet they can't get a tree ordinance out. It's embarrassing.
Okay, thanks, Don. That's another reason that if you guys can get to the petition and get your names on there, that will help. The more people that get behind stuff like this, the better off we are. And with Parker's help, I know we'll get all the info we need. That's
Okay.
it. I'm done.
Gosh.
Thank you.
Okay, everything else is going to seem tame by comparison, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Rick is the one that riles up everything, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. We need a little energy. So the NAC committee report is next. And the only thing I want to mention from NAC, because Don is much more knowledgeable about some of the things that were discussed, but there was a presentation by Lindsay Wolpa, who's the Senior Manager Strategic Projects person for Northwest Seaport Alliance, about the issues surrounding the harbor congestion. And it was really great. So I've posted some things on the G Drive that I think all of the board members can see, and we'll have a link in the newsletter to some of the information that she shared with us. So, because it is really interesting just to see what all the issues are with, we hear a lot about it, but anyway, interesting topic. So that's my comment. Don, do you want to add anything else about NAC?
Well, I guess just very simple. Actually, that was really, you're right, Paula. That was almost the whole thing, which was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I would add that we talked about the National Guard site in Inner Bay and how there's a state representative that's trying to form a committee to bring the communities together. There's some issues about that. And I know the port is, of course, very interested in this site and a little worried about it being taken away actually by the formation of this state committee out of the hands of the community that's going to be around it and the city of Seattle where it exists. So there was a little bit of that. You'll notice that they're still working on the piles down there and fixing the docks a little bit. And really, that's pretty much it. That was it. So yeah, the fascinating. You should, if you're ever curious, ask Paula about the port congestion. It was a fascinating thing. Just builds on kind of more insider knowledge than what you read in the papers.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Don, can I just add that when this came up, I sent a note to Liz Berry about this. Because I sent the note out because Liz Berry included it on one of her outreach emails that she did. And so I went back and said, hey, please include Queen Anne Community Council and Magnolia Community Council for our Magnolia friends that are on tonight. And she sent another one out. So I went back to her saying, hey, anything new on Inner Bay on the Armory site? And she came back with, yes, they definitely will once the land is signed over to the state of Washington in about 10 plus years. So I'm not sure what that means, but I just wanted to give you that feedback.
Yeah, and the concern, of course, like with the port and, well, for myself, is that it's owned industrial land. And so you just saw a piece of land in Inner Bay get taken away out of industrial land and turned now into a sports center for the Storm. So we've got to be careful. I know that everyone thinks that really all you need is software to make life function. But amazingly enough, you can see by the lack of things you're going to be able to buy for Christmas that there's some really very fundamental things, and that's industry. So it's why people need to be a little concerned about it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. One quick note too that came up at the NAC meeting that wasn't really related to NAC, but so Sound Transit 3 project, the West Seattle to Ballard light rail line is somewhere in play. And maybe if we get enough federal money, we might have a shot at seeing that maybe in my lifetime, certainly in some of your lifetimes. Anyway, Janice Trayvern is on that advisory council. So we do have a link to somebody who can keep us posted on what's happening with that. Next is parks. You're up, guy. Got a long agenda.
Well, look, I'm going to try to top Denny because, he's talking about increased land density, and by God, what I want to do is put an off-leash area into a park. So now we, as you know, we looked at McLean Park and we got, that's been shot down twice, the second time with more concrete reasons why. We're trying to find a big enough off-leash area so that people will actually go there instead of using our sports fields and ruining them for the kids. And we'll talk about that impact in a little bit when we talk about Little Howe. So the last place that I can think of here, somewhere around the top of Queen Anne, somewhere that's accessible by walking, where people aren't going to have to get into a car or hike long distances, is David Rogers Park. And as I like to always remind people, oh, by the way, I do not own a dog. And I say that because just like all things for parks, I support the usages of the people that want to play in them. And so some of those people, and actually quite a few of them, they have dogs. So we had a meeting there, had a nice walkthrough. Neighbors showed up. Dog off leash people showed up. I mean, or dogs actually on leashes, because I was there. So, it was very nice of them. And then there were some neighbors, of course, that had dogs. So we kind of walked around. I did send out a map and some information and some notes from our walkthrough to the council and to all the members of the Parks Committee. Hopefully you looked at that. So and as I hope it's very clear, I did a very almost arbitrary, but just from listening to the people talk, no vote or anything official, I kind of showed the number, the most popular place, second most popular place, and third most popular place, right? We can't replace play equipment. We can't, there's certain areas it can't be, so you're limited. But it was really good. I think people got a chance to talk to each other and try to understand that neighbors, of course, like all neighbors of parks, do not want to see more people in their parks in a lot of ways. I mean, they don't want to see an increased use. They're because the David Rogers Park is a gorgeous park. It is one of the unofficial off-leash areas, though, of Queen Anne. And if you go there at any time, you'll see a number of dogs off leash. You will also see the environmental damage that they are causing to that park. If you see there's no grass, that's dogs off leash. You just have to look and you'll see the claws and sometimes the holes dug and this stuff. So the damage is going to happen one way or the other. We'd like to make it legal and we'd like to make it contained and be good for people with dogs. And I do like to remind people that, yes, we're trying to make the dogs happy, but remember, they're attached to people. These aren't wolves. These aren't coyotes, right? These are people own them, and they've got a leash, and so they're attached. So we want to make the people happy. So it's just a compromise. We're trying to see if we can do it. We're going to have a parks meeting where that will be discussed more. My idea is at the moment is to try to see if we can come to kind of a consensus, a little agreement, and or at least a pleasant majority at a parks meeting in order for us to select a location that would work. And then I will bring it back to the council to see if they would like to support this area. What that means is when I fill out the form, then it will be sent to the Parks Department. It's a very preliminary form, and the parks will either say yes or no. Like, and yes or no only in no, we're not going to do it. It's not possible. Go away. Or yes, we'll think about it. And now you're in about a 6 to 9, 12-month process easily to actually see if an off-leash area can go there. But with the Queen Anne Community Council's support, should that come out of the Parks Committee, then that's the way to go. I do want to remind everybody that any organization can submit this form. So let's say the Queen Anne Community Council decides not to, or the majority of the people at the Parks Committee don't want to support it. Anybody can start the dog off leash area for Rogers Park, fill out a form, send it in. And again, if it gets to a yes place with parks on that first initial thing, the off-leash people, the people with dogs have to take over. And hopefully the neighbors will start in. I'm not asking for the Queen Anne Community Council to run this. This is not what Parks does. It's not what we do. It really takes the community to jump in and make it happen. So sorry that I know that's long, but it's important to explain because sometimes it can be controversial. There was a work order created for Little Howe Playground. And I was very curious about that because I didn't think the groundskeepers would actually want to do it. As it turns out, they don't want to do it. It's a waste of resources and it's a waste of money. They have repaired it before, and the people who bring their dogs on this little tiny plot of land that is used by kids to play lacrosse. I mean, we're talking kids, 9-year-old, playing and younger, playing lacrosse, soccer, and t-ball. They tear up that field so bad it can't be used. So, and we're kind of shooting. The only idea I could come up with that I threw to Parks lap, which I'm pretty sure they'll say no to, is to fence it, and then to give a key to the sports users, the sports organizations, Queen Anne sports organizations. Unfortunately, that really never plays out in the long run because it's all volunteer. So somebody leaves with the key. Now the key can't open the gate. It's been a problem before, so I don't think they'll accept it. But this is what happens to sports fields when there's no dog off leash area where people can go. And hopefully that will cut it. That won't stop them. And I do want to, it's funny, I want to correct the minutes, but the minutes were not wrong. It's just been changed. That we now have the most recent confirmation for lights at Big Howe will be late May of 2022. Let's see what else. I'm going to see if we can change the name of the West Howe Street Park back to West. It's 12th Avenue West and West Howe Street Park now. And I did learn that up until 2012, it was named West Howe Park, which seems a lot nicer. So I'm going to approach Parks and just see if they'll, move it back. There's even a condominium there that's named West Howe Park Condominiums because it was West Howe Park. And yes, so I'm also looking into the funding. I have some queries into Parks as to where is the funding for Smith Cove Park. And because we are talking probably around $5.8 million, because they've probably already spent they spent $700,000 on the architect, You know that, and they bill all projects to the money, Parks does. So, there's probably a couple $100,000 out of there for running the process and doing whatever they do. So there's a whole lot of money that was collected via our property taxes through the Parks District in order to fund that park. And now they don't seem to know where the money is. So we'd like to, I'm on a mission to find out where that is. Carol?
Yeah, and I second that. We not only don't know where the money is, but we don't know where the plan is. We don't know if anything's happening. They keep saying, oh, it's COVID, it's COVID. But this work, what work was being done was stopped long before COVID. And they don't communicate with us at all. I mean, they basically have shut the Friends of the Park, Smith Cove Park, out of the process, which we saw from the very beginning when they hired GGN. They told GGN, you do not talk to the parks, the Friends of the Park, you talk to us. And then we'll talk to Friends of the Park, which they didn't, of course. So yeah, if you can find where the money's gone.
Maybe our new administration can find the money. So.
Bob, you had something?
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Yeah, as earlier this year, being a T-ball coach at Little Howe, I'm a little bit frustrated by Park's answer. And I suspect if we had a proper gate and proper signage, like in your face signage, that would go a long way. And to include maybe getting Jessica to have an article about how, these kids play ball fields have been destroyed. And, so everybody in the community knows the cost. If everything is just happy-go-lucky and everybody doesn't, ignorance is bliss. I drove by Big Howe a week ago, not even a week ago, and there's at least a dozen dogs at Big Howe. And, I just find that as a poor answer from the city. And it's like they're not trying. And I think if they were to put a gate on it with proper signage, and then if they did an outreach program where everybody on the hill knew the impact and the consequences of, improper off-leash activity, then who knows, that might be, positive, because the little kids that I coached this spring in T-ball shouldn't be the ones who are suffering because there's no place to play.
I think
Parker?
that's so
Parker?
positive, Bob.
Parker, can we add that to your list, Parker?
It's been on my list for about a month and a half already, but yeah.
Yeah, could
More than happy to keep
I
pressing.
speak to that? Oh, sorry, Parker.
Not a worry. No, I'm done.
Yeah, so I had talked a little bit to Dawn about this because my son played soccer on Little Howe this year, and we had an incident where the kids were playing soccer and parents were joining in, and a parent tripped in a pothole that was on the field because of the deterioration of the field, and ended up breaking his ankle because of it. It's traumatic for the kids to see, it's traumatic for this parent. And it bothers me a lot that we can't do anything about the conditions, because these are little kids, like 5 and under kids that are playing on this field. So yeah, signage, something needs to be done here.
I did mention a fence and a gate to them, because they'd have to fence right to the west side of it, right? Complete the fencing to the west side and then put a gate there at the north end up in the west corner, right? Kind of where the basketball court is, so you can come in. And Parks is willing to put up a huge sign. I can tell you that Big Howe is completely fenced, and there are signs, and actually not, they even made them a little bigger. And people sometimes confront, talk to people with dogs off leash on the park. I've had complaints from parents in the sports leagues of dogs playing on the field while a baseball game is going on and chasing the ball.
Yeah.
And people just don't, so you wish signs would do it. And I'm willing to try anything, but I mean, really, The problem is that they were pretty clear. No, we've done this. We've gone in and filled in the holes and fixed them. And we had the turf guy out there for sports, right? I mean, he came out and he says, yeah, I mean, I can't put the turf down because it'll just be gone. I mean, they'll just dig it up, right? It'll be gone. So, it's very sad. And I've, and I even mentioned artificial turf, which I do not want to see on a field for little kids. It's not, I know it sounds odd, but the orthopedic people say it's very dangerous, or more, they get hurt more often from it. And with grass, I mean, the dogs, take a dump or, pee on it. They're, some of it soaks in, some of it gets picked up, it rains, blah, blah, blah. On turf, it's like, well, what happens when you drop something dirty on your carpet at home? That's what happens to field turf. Field turf is just a big carpet. So I'm sorry. I'm working on it still. I've got their ear. They want.
No,
to do
I don't
something.
mean to.
No. You brought it to me first, and I went out there and took pictures, and I was horrified. I was truly horrified.
It's not safe for these kids to be playing on. If an adult broke his leg, it's not safe for adults to be on either. I mean, I feel like the city is asking for a lawsuit here.
Well, and they have called the dog. I can't think. They used to be the Humane Society, but they would come out and get the dogs. The enforcement people, and I think, and Sharon might be able to correct me. I think last I heard there were only 6 in the city.
Yeah.
And so they call and they ask and they say, look, it's a problem, and well, that's it. I'm sorry to take so long.
No, that's okay. I don't want to cut the discussion short, but I think we should probably leave this for a Parks meeting and maybe start engaging. Maybe we can get Parker or somebody from Councilmember Lewis's office to that meeting, find out who is on Bruce Harrell's transition team, and start elevating some of these issues, because that would be really good to have these things on their radar. I'm sure there will be many, but he who speaketh loudest getteth the most attention. So I love to speak loudly. So anyway, yeah, it's definitely an issue and a conundrum. We don't have really great solutions, and we're not getting much help from the city. So thanks for being the person to take charge of that. So, okay. Anything else on parks? Sorry, we'll be here all night. But anything else? Okay, thanks. Public safety, Bob, anything new and exciting?
Just quickly, regarding the hillside, the legal process continues with the new owners, Inland Capital. So things are progressing, not as quickly as we would like, but they're working with King County Sheriff on that issue. Sadly, the drug market continues. You can either there or at the Dexter Underpass, along with the other vices, the other crimes. Separately, our issue with the inn, formerly known as the Aloha Inn, run by Catholic Community Services. Our letter was hand delivered to the Archbishop's office downtown, and then separately hand delivered to Catholic Community Services of Western Washington, which is on 2nd downtown, and then the Catholic Community Services of Seattle, King County, which is on like 32nd and Yesler. So hand delivered to each of those locations. No response yet from the Archbishop, although we did get a response, an email from, without referencing the letter or anything like that, but Catholic Community Services reps that we've been working with, they got back in touch with us finally, and to set up a follow-up meeting, which is now tentatively looking to be set in the first week of February. And we were told, actually, Catholic Community Services had reached out to Councilmember Andrew Lewis too, to discuss their issues and their concerns about Hillside. I'm not sure if they did that, Parker, but they had mentioned to us that the head of Catholic Community Services was going to reach out to him about that.
They very well may have. Our issue has been that Inland Capital declined any and all cooperation that we were trying to offer. They said, we don't want the government to be involved. We just want to go through the eviction process on our own. So we've been shut out from it entirely.
Okay. Did Catholic Community Services reach out and express their concerns? Just so Andrew
I haven't
already
seen that,
knows
but
all
I'll be
this, but
happy
it'd
to
be
check.
interesting if they got, give their perspective. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'll be happy to look back on our records.
Okay. And finally, I'd just like to point out, because I've been doing it for my neighborhood, the Find It, Fix It app with the graffiti report. I've been getting all my, traffic signs cleaned up. In addition, if they're cockeyed, if they're angled or whatever, they get them straightened up. And in fact, I got a new one on Barrett Street, a brand new traffic sign. And so, but as I drive around the city, I'm tempted, I actually have done this a few times. I'm tempted to stop every time I see one and then do a report. And I say this just to ask everyone as you're walking around to, if you see this and you're part of the, the hill, take pictures. And literally I could do it within a minute. Take a picture, get the app, upload it, give its location, and is it offensive now? Boom, 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 boom. You can be done. And then we could have a Queen Anne free of this usually tagger type of graffiti on our traffic signs and other things. And we even actually gotten some upgrades on our mailboxes too, our post boxes, which is positive. So I just like to continue to push the graffiti piece. Thank you.
Yeah, Find It, Fix It actually works pretty well. Transportation, Jasmine, are you there? And
Yeah. Let me just pull up the right document. We had our meeting a couple weeks ago. We'll be meeting again, or we meet on the third Thursday. So let me just, we might need to adjust for December holidays. I'll have an answer on that in just a few moments. But yeah, we talked a lot about the best ways to collaborate with Uptown Alliance and navigating that. We followed up on the results over at 5th West and Mercer. There was a long delay, but the flashing beacon was finally installed, and so that was awesome. We had some updates on the arena area and transportation around that, as well as we talked quite a bit about First Avenue West and West Race Street and what can be done there. And we've started reaching out to contacts with SDOT to see where we're at, what we can do, where we're at with that. But one of just the main issues is just people ripping through on Ray really quickly. And it seems to have happened with a change from a yield sign on First West at the intersection. So now it's like a stop sign, I believe, and it's people are moving much faster along Ray, and it's getting pretty dangerous out there. And some of the other issues we talked about were some sidewalk issues and just keeping an eye out for what are some of the sidewalks that are a real challenge. The one that we talked most about was 10th West or 10th at Olympic, right on that curve near the upper end of Kinnear Park. And there were just like a lot of issues there, from a like 2-level stair sidewalk sort of thing going on that's not accessible and impossible to like cross the street once you find out about it, and just like the blind turn. So there's a lot of issues. So we're kind of like coming up with a wish list and visioning and consulting with SDOT on that. I think that's everything. We also talked a little bit more about the grant that we got, but we talked about that last month here. So yeah, it was a great meeting.
Great. Thanks, Jasmine. And just very quickly, Parker happened to mention that I met with Andrew Lewis and he mentioned Olympic Place West before I even brought it up. And apparently there has been some momentum for some period of time, but of course everything has been put on hold. So we're hoping that perhaps there's already some things in the pipeline. Kathy, you brought that up, but anyway, so Parker's going to keep monitoring that and let us know what he's able to find out.
Paula,
Yeah.
I'd like to bring something up while Parker is here.
Yeah.
I had another conversation today with parking enforcement, about the RVs that are parked on Nickerson and their attendant trash. And they are totally helpless. I don't know if everybody knows this, but parking enforcement has been moved out of the police department and is now under the purview of SDOT, Seattle Department of Transportation, and they have no authority, it seems, to even enforce the 72-hour rule, which has been reinstituted. And I don't understand why they can't make these RVs move. I understand if someone's living in them, maybe Parker, you can comment, they can't confiscate them apparently, or maybe, take them away, but they certainly could keep them moving or make them move or put them in an assigned place. And I'd like you to address that. There have been 3 cars parked in a park along the Ship Canal, and I've been for almost a year, and I've been reporting them. It's a park called A Salish Welcome there that overlooks the locks right near the garden there. And it's a lovely park with 3 parking places, and they're all taken up by transients who have left their vehicles there for the greater part of a year, and they can't even get those out of there. So, and it's a 4-hour parking zone.
Yeah,
Why are you, please address it. Why is the city not doing anything about this?
yeah. So, I mean, the short answer is that they could, but they won't. The mayor has decided on a policy that she's not going to move the RVs, or not going to have parking enforcement move RVs without significant pressure. Like, we had to work, I think, 2-3 months. I'm sure that Carol Burton or Rick could speak to it from the Magnolia Community Council. But when there were a ton of RVs on the I think Commodore Way up in North Magnolia, we worked for 2 months before SDOT actually decided to take action, and had to get folks from the department out there, I think on 2 separate occasions, to actually take a look at what was happening and say, like, how do you excuse this? I wish I could divine why the mayor's office has decided to issue that policy for the department. For the life of me, I don't know why. But it's an area where we are certainly looking forward to the next administration and having more cooperation and taking action immediately.
Well, I know the parking enforcement officers are frustrated, and they can't seem to do anything even about vehicles, regular vehicles like these 3 that are taking the 3 parking places at the Salish Welcome Park. I don't understand why they can't get those out of there. And there aren't people living in them, but I think they're attendant to people that have built an encampment within that park. But the vehicles have been ticketed. They're in the 4-hour zone. Can't we get those out of there? That's not your area, but I mean, it's a citywide issue. So I just want y'all are going to address it. It is something that you are thinking about, I hope. Yeah.
Parker, I actually want to recognize Carol because it looks like she's got her hand up
That's
first.
what I'm gonna say too.
I just wanted to respond to Parker's thing. Yes, there was quite a large community along, I think it's 26th and Commodore, and they finally put in very big Jersey barriers. They have put smaller ones in that got moved. And they have also done the same thing along, I think it's 21st, right by Fisherman's Terminal, just west of Fisherman's Terminal. So those RVs have moved. However, I think, I don't recognize all of them. Some of them have moved to 23rd and Elmore Place, which is east of the railroad tracks, but west of Fisherman's Terminal. And what they have done there is just move the Jersey barriers so that they can get things in. And Parker, I don't mind to digress and take up your meeting, but remember when Sally Bagshore said we would do garbage pickup there and porta potties? I mean, that would make a big difference because that area on 23rd is just a total garbage dump.
Okay.
Just to wrap up that comment, Parker, and questioning why the mayor's office has, put that policy in place. Possibly coming at it from public health and from the public health officer, because it is a public health crisis. Especially for the people living there, right? No running water. I mean, even if you put in porta potties, there's no running water, there's nowhere to wash your hands. And then the amount of trash and, in some cases, drug paraphernalia and things like that are just strewn across the street becomes a real public health crisis, right? Yes, we could say it's an eyesore or whatever, but to be compassionate for those folks, there's a black market for selling these RVs to those individuals and to those people. And so I think it goes deeper than that. And so maybe looking at it from those ends, and, trying to take it from that way, because not only is it over here, right? North Lake around the lake had just, after the season is over, it just got taken over by the encampment. So I think that from a public health standpoint for everyone involved, specifically, or even the people living there in those RVs, is really important to bring up that topic.
This sounds like something that as a community council, we might want to take on as a community project. And again, I think with the new administration, hopefully there will be more reception for actually doing something about these things. We don't know, but anyway, that's just a thought. So if somebody's interested in kind of leading a project to sort of focus on those issues, we can certainly do that. And I'm happy to participate because it's a big issue to me too. Carolyn, you had a question, I think.
I was just going to say, I know the RVs on Nickerson because I go by there to go to the gym, and one of the guys had actually accumulated a huge amount of wooden pallets that were the height of his RV and had 3 piles. And then one day, all the RVs were gone and all the pallets were gone. And there was a day or two where they weren't there. Now they're back. I also have seen behind the PCC in Ballard, where along the Burt Gilman, there used to be as many as 20 or more RVs. And then about a week ago, they were all gone. But now a couple are back. So there is some sense there's some moving around. It doesn't seem to be permanent.
Well, I can tell you that after the report of the 3 on Nickerson, I filed Find It, Fix It reports. You sent me some pictures. I went down and took pictures. I reported them as illegal dumping. I reported them for all kinds of things. So I'm sure other people did too. So hopefully that was one of the reasons that the pallet guy is gone, because that RV is gone. The pallets are gone. It was a fire hazard. And there was a huge accumulation of trash in that sort of greenbelt area that's there. It did get cleaned up. I didn't know that the other RVs had actually moved away. I don't know if those are the same ones, but anyway, so you can also try Find It, Fix It. I mean, whatever avenues there are, use them. And if we can launch some sort of campaign as a community to sort of be the squeaky wheel, it's back to the squeaky wheel syndrome. And that's where we're going to have to go with those sorts of things. But with the new administration, maybe they'll be more proactive about it. Anything else on this? We have lots of thorny issues tonight, so. Nope. Okay. 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 Then we're gonna skip a couple things. We need to talk about the orientation meeting. It was great. A couple people missed it, but that's okay. We can catch them up. Let's talk about fundraising. I did send something out late this afternoon, and I apologize it was late, but it was sort of a last minute addition to the agenda, so that we can all get our heads around it, think about the questions we have to ask about fundraising. We are going to start asking for money to pay for at least our operating expenses and the expenses that we might want to incur, such as the tree lighting dollars. Our operating expenses, and I included the very brief overview of, why we need to do it. what's wrong with the current situation where we don't have any money, and then a proposed solution. So Sean has been really instrumental in putting together some background information on fundraising tools and easy ways for people to link and make contributions and that sort of thing. So do we want to discuss this? Does everybody have answers to all the questions you ever thought of? Are there any major concerns about it? And then what I'd like to do is get some more information together so that in January we could actually be at a point where we could vote on it. Danny.
I'm sure you guys have looked at all this, but I'm just curious because it came up so many times before. Is our designation as do we have to change it, or can we go out and fundraise?
We can fundraise. The key thing we need to do is we need to be clear with people that their donations are not tax deductible. And that's the big difference between us and a 501c3. But people can donate money to the Queen Anne Community Council to help, cover the cost of the things that allow us to communicate with the community. I mean, it used to be if we had meetings in person and everybody showed up at some meeting place, that was great. That's not the way things are anymore. We need to have platforms. We need to have like Zoom. Even if we get to a point where we can do hybrid meetings, we really need to be able to do them in a hybrid capacity so that we can keep people coming to the meetings. We have our newsletter, we use MailChimp, and all of it costs money. And so there's just no way around it. Right now, the annual expenses just estimated, and these are just the ones I know of. There could be other things people are paying for that I have no knowledge of, but they're running about $1,400 a year. And that's a fair amount to expect people to bear out of pocket. Nicole?
Yeah, so I think maybe I'm all for fundraising. I think it's like if we're super clear on, okay, we're fundraising for like operations of the community council versus like we're fundraising for a specific project for the community.
Yep.
Like, I guess I was thinking, is there something like, we want to put a sign at like, welcome to the Queen Anne Business District at the corner of Queen Anne and Boston. I'm making this up, but like that would be maybe a fundraiser for a specific project for the community versus like we're fundraising for like operations of the council. So like maybe like one suggestion would be to break down like all of those costs so people can see, because they might say like, why do you need money to like meet once a month? But like in reality, like they are costs. And so maybe I haven't looked at your thing, Sean. So
I was gonna say, yeah,
it might already be in there, but like
okay,
yeah, just being super clear that it's for that. And I think that is great because it should be like, in reality, it shouldn't be like us paying out of pocket for it. It's like we're doing things for the community. So
right, and that's So the initial effort would be to cover our operating costs. Those are the things that allow us to operate in the community, to bring information to the community, to communicate with the community and that sort of thing. In addition, if we wanted to do a project specific fundraiser, that would be separate, and we would make that very clear, and it's for this project and here's the maximum cost, and if people wanted to donate to that specific cause, that's great. But anyway, so this is for general operating funds, general operating expenses, and I'm sorry I can't see if everybody has questions. Marina?
I have a question, Paula. It's more of a concern.
Okay.
And I understand there are always going to be operating costs.
Right.
I guess I just, I have trouble with it as we're talking about like, RV campers and like issues with graffitis. And there's just so many, actual 501c3s that need help that I hate to pull money to something that, is worthy, but
right.
maybe isn't helping like the most needy people.
Right.
And so that's why I would really like to look at is there anything that is possible to trim? And I know, I'm not on the active in communications committee and stuff. And so I don't understand the difference between like, free Google groups versus MailChimp. But I just kind of have a concern, like, what are we really asking the money for? And is there a way to trim the budget as well as raise money, I guess?
Well, the two big expenses are Zoom, and Zoom, if the bare minimum we can get by with Zoom, it would have 4 committee people to have their committee meetings plus this meeting it runs about $900 a year. And that's if we never have more than 100 people. If we ever do an event where there are more than 100 people, then we have to pay more for a month at least to do that. So then we're getting close to $1,000 just to be able to have Zoom meetings. So we always have the option of saying, as a board, these are our expenses, our fixed expenses are relatively fixed. We're going to have to eat that, and the board pays for it. So that's an option. MailChimp is $16.51 a month. So it's not a huge expense. If we ever get 5,000 subscribers, that'll go up. But those are the two big drivers. The other things that I'm aware of are fairly small, like a $10 filing fee each year, $13 and some change for our domain name for the Queen Anne Community Council. So they aren't big ticket items, but if we want to have Zoom meetings, that's what Zoom costs for an organization of our size and with our particular usage. I had the business account for a couple of months and it was $200 a month. That's a little, I could do it. I don't really want to do it out of pocket. Just to be honest. So another option is to talk about it as a board, and do we want to shoulder those expenses? So that is an option.
Yeah, and as I'm helping Paula with the fundraising effort and vetting a couple vendors that we might use. But the reality is, historically, the Queen Anne Community Council had $25 worth of annual expenses, and people sorry, I have a dog here. People would just donate. They would write a check, and it's now that we have Zoom and now that we have MailChimp, we just have a lot more operating expenses, and it's not like we're trying to raise tens of thousands of dollars. And even if we did, we can create specific campaigns for that.
Bob, you had a hand up.
I was just going to add that I read your one pager, and I think I didn't see anything regarding board members contributing, because I say this being on another board downtown Seattle, which had a membership piece and then additional board giving piece. It does happen, and that should be a consideration. Now the question is, does everybody want to pay $40 or 20, whatever it may be? But it should be part of the discussion. It should be part of that one pager.
Okay, we can certainly visit that. Basically the fair thing would be to take whatever those operating expenses are and divide it by, right now we have 22 members, and so we divide it by 22 and everybody pays. Some boards, for some councils around the city, the board members pay a annual dues.
Actually, can we add in there? I think what would be really great, many hands make light work, as my dad said. We have a lot of former board members like Marty. We can add to the list, and then we'd be all set. I'm sure Marty would love to participate.
The Alumni Association, is that what
exactly?
And I think you could also maybe make a counter argument there that like making dues be a prerequisite to be on the board could be like prohibitive to some members of the community that want to be on the board or run for the board. So
That's
giving
correct.
people in the community the option to donate to like keep that running, including like those who are on the board. Like I'm happy to, pay I just did it in the math, it's $63. It'd be
There
like
you go.
happy to do that. But like, I think if you make it a prerequisite, it's a little exclusionary. And so, I mean, I put in the post that people have their portfolio of organizations that they give to based on their own kind of personal values and the things that they think that they want to. And I think many people in our community would be happy to donate $10, and you could put a cap on it, and then we can, go from there. So I think we just do kind of what John's suggesting. So
Yeah, because I'm with you, Nicole. I'm not, I'm not crazy about the board member pay to play kind of thing. It's okay, and it's certainly one option, but to me, it seems like there are probably enough people in the community who have an interest or would be willing to contribute small amounts of money that it wouldn't be overly burdensome. But
yeah, so for example, I think the vendor that we're going to use is really easy and intuitive to donate to. The Stranger uses them if you want to check that out, but it's literally like select how much, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 bucks. And then it allows people the opportunity, if they want, to make it recurring on a routine basis, or they can also even cover the processing fee, which is just like 2.9% of whatever the donation is. And there's no additional fees besides that. So there's no cost to the community council to utilize these services. And then we can, there's enough people in the community that would pitch in a few bucks. We should be able to get our bare minimum operation expenses covered, no problem.
And people don't have to set up an account with that donation method, which is really good. But anyway, so
some of them they have to set up accounts with, and the one we plan on using, they don't have to do anything like that. But we will, if they we will have their information, so we can upload them to our MailChimp. So like if someone donates to us, we can add them to our mailing list.
Yeah, if they want to. Denny?
Let me unmute here. Paula, I read through your list and I think it was very thorough and I appreciate it. But it seems to me like we're going back and forth on this stuff. And I think I said it once before, and I don't know if people agree with me, but I think the first step we should do is ask voluntarily of our group to volunteer, to send whatever they want to give. And I think you'll be surprised that we'll meet it almost immediately. I mean, from my past experience.
But Denny, that's not sustainable, and we're not allowing the public to participate. We should allow the public to participate.
Sean, just a minute, can I finish what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you. All I'm saying is from my past experience, when we've done this, you'd be surprised how many, and people like to give. I'm not saying you have to give, Sean, but if we don't have, and nobody should have to, but the people that want to, it makes them feel good to be part of it. And
Right.
so if they can afford to do it, just a minute, if they can afford to do it, let them have the opportunity to do it first. And then if we need more money, then we go out and we ask people and they can give. So what if we have $5,000 in there? I mean, if they want to give, we give more. But all I'm saying is there's no reason to go out and do a bunch of fundraising and waste your time. I'm trying to help you a little bit if we get enough money by just telling the people on the board.
Yeah.
That's it.
Checks will still be accepted, Denny.
Pardon?
Checks will still be accepted. You can still write a check, but
I
we'll
will.
just allow people to donate online,
That's fine.
which
That's
is
fine.
going to be a lot easier for some people.
Okay.
Okay, I was just
Can
trying
I
to.
mention one thing? I'm not on the board, and
Oh.
I love what everybody's saying. And I think that, kind of putting it out there to the public or the community will, I know that people would give in this community. And not only that, I think it's an opportunity for people to engage with you. And therefore, it kind of gets the message out into the community more that, hey, what you're doing and how important it is. And for that reason alone, just having like a annual campaign, a GoFundMe page, or whatever it is, electronic at that offers, an opportunity for people of the community to give. And you don't have to do it a million times, but I think this community will be very, very on board with that. And maybe some of the proceeds from that can be used for other, projects. Just FYI. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Okay, Hannah and then Carolyn.
Yeah, I think that what Sean and Paula are proposing is very reasonable. Like the idea that we have a mechanism for collecting funds. I think that we can do both, right? Like we could, as board members, we can choose to donate to that. And then we can also share to allow community members to engage. And I think that, once we had that mechanism up and running, then it's possible that we could run campaigns for specific things. Like if you're passionate about X cause, donate to this sub campaign. So that's just my 2 cents. Like, I don't think that we're not saying that they're not mutually exclusive. These ideas of like having board members donate if they're willing to, and allowing community members to also donate or providing a way for them to do so.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. Carolyn, you had your hand up.
I think too, if you're asking for money for operating expenses, as you've done tonight, you want to be really clear, like, what does that mean? Because for some people, they're going to think, oh, we're buying all of your dinner, or letting you have a party, or as opposed to it's Zoom, it's MailChimp, it's, it's how we communicate with you, it's how you communicate with us. And I think people are going to be much more open to that. You need to be really clear about that kind of thing. That sounds like it could be a whole lot of stuff versus we're raising a specific amount for the school crossing or something.
We'll be crystal clear.
And just so, okay, in my little 1-2 pager here, okay. So the first thing we have to do is we have to come up with what's our budget. I mean, what is our operating budget? Because we've really never known, because we've never tried to compile it. So when you start to put the numbers down, it's like, oh, okay, there's this and this. So we have a budget. We would report monthly what we're spending as well as what we're receiving. So there'll be complete transparency, and communication it'll just add to Ben's treasurer's report, because he will have to, combine or compile that information. But anyway, so that's, absolutely being transparent. The other option is if we have a budget of the minimum costs that we incur that we can't function without. And then we say, oh, in addition, we would like to, I don't know, maybe we want to buy t-shirts. That can be a campaign by itself or something. We don't have to allow people to, is somebody doing something with the Zoom meeting?
Joan,
What happened there? Did we get Zoom bombed?
No.
I was trying to stop the share screen and accidentally hit suspend participant activities. So that's why everyone got muted and camera offed. I was worried we were about to get Zoom bombed. So
yeah, I thought that was
well done.
I
I was trying to do something to stop that from happening.
Well, Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so anyway, really quickly, so obviously, I mean, we've got to have complete transparency, complete accountability, and that sort of thing. And I mean, I do appreciate what you're saying, Marina, because it is when you say, oh, we want help with the cost of, Zoom and MailChimp and stuff, it seems like, well, there are people who need food or shelter or whatever. There aren't very many, to the best of my knowledge, most of the community organizations that are around do fundraising, because there are certain costs that are affixed with that. And again, I mean, they may ask the board to contribute, but oftentimes those expenses exceed what they want to burden the board with. So anyway, so do we want to have more discussion about this? If we do, what I'd like to do is ask for maybe a special meeting to have further discussions specifically on this topic. So we could vote on whether we want to proceed or whether we want to go with a board only contribution. What are people's thoughts?
Paula, can I make one comment?
Yeah.
I want to clarify. It's Denny.
Okay, yeah.
I just want to clarify one thing.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that Sean understands where I'm coming from. Sean, is what I was trying to do is to buy you a little bit of time, is so that we could get the money now. And yes, I agree that we should fundraise both ways. I don't want you to think I don't think that. And so what I was trying to do is to buy you some time so that if we need money now, we probably get enough.
Oh.
And so that's all I was trying to do, is to buy you time. I'm into doing it. I just was trying to help you. A little time.
I think
I wasn't clear.
Yeah, no worries. I think as far as, what I want next steps to look like as far as actually getting this launched is Paula and I and potentially the executive board will meet with a vendor. It's like a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter, but it's for nonprofits, even our kind of nonprofit. And then we will we'll create a campaign, and I would like to present it to you guys at the next board meeting.
Oh, okay, great. If you don't need the money before that, that's great.
Yeah, no.
Well, we're not destitute, Denny. We'll let you know if you see me looking at those RVs down in Nickerson.
Okay, I'm done. I just want to clarify.
Okay. Sharon had her hand up, and then Carolyn and Corey. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I just would like to have discussion about us having a fundraising event. I've just participated in about 5 online auctions for nonprofits, and they're really wonderful. And or a big garage sale, maybe this year if they have the Bigelow garage sales where we can set up an area and participate. I'd like to have ideas like that rather than just asking for people to contribute. I'd like to see if we can give them something. I have things of value that I could contribute to an online auction, things I bought at an online auction that I want to donate to another worthy cause, for example.
Yeah.
So, I would like that to enter the discussion, maybe not those 2 ideas, but others.
Yeah, we're not trying
everybody-
to limit the ways we fundraise. We're just trying to get a thumbs up on fundraising at all, because you haven't.
Yeah, and when I present, I'm happy, Paula, to present, or you can present, or we can present together the campaign through Donor Box. But when we do that, I would like to propose a vote on our next meeting, and let's just vote. Let's set it in stone. Let's see if the board wants to proceed with fundraising, and if we do, we can get it launched the following day.
And can I just say one other thing? I donated quite a bit yesterday on the day of giving to organizations that mean a lot to me. I did not anticipate being asked for money other than $10 tonight.
That's okay.
For this organization. And that's fine, but a lot of people are already maxed out or have picked their, organizations. And so we need to keep that in mind.
No, that's
a long-term thing.
60 organizations.
It's a long-term goal. We're going to have a donate button on our website, on a donate page, And whenever people want to down in the future, they can do a donation, and then Ben can talk about it in the next month's treasury report, how much we raised in donations, whether it's $2, $20, or $200.
Okay, Corey? Or I'm
No,
sorry.
I don't have anything anymore.
Okay.
I think there is some activity going on in the chat, but I don't know if it's being recorded as part of the meeting.
Oh, yeah, I can see all the chat.
I don't think the chat gets recorded unless you choose to copy it.
It's saved automatically. I have it every month. So I will share chat if you'd like. It can be part of our minutes or whatever, but I can share it with this group. Anyway, so I'll look at chat and make sure that that gets shared. So Carolyn, you had something.
So my suggestion would be we should start with a bare bones budget so everybody can see what it is and look at that and vote. And then you might want to have if we had a little bit more operating budget, but I think we should, before we start down this path, there should also be some policy set about fundraising for specific things. And what are the criteria? How does that happen? Does it come through the finance committee as a recommendation to the board, or yeah, I think all that needs to be in place before we say this is how we're going to raise money.
Right. And those are the policies that we will write up so that it's all very clear about. I mean, we need not only to, one, make a decision, yes, we're going to raise some money. And if the board comes up with more money than we could ever dream of, then we don't have to do much in the way of public campaigns. I mean, remember, we can campaign on a very narrow basis. We can expand it out a little more. We don't have to go global on it to begin with. The other thing is we need to have in place procedures for one, how do we, what are our expenses? What are our fixed expenses? And then this group should come up with some sort of a proposed budget for anything else that we think we need or might want to have. And then whether or not those are, I mean, there could be something where we know in 3 months, we're going to absolutely have to have some platform for some reason. Then we need to factor that in so we know what our annual expenses are. Then we can go to sort of the wish list. And the wish list might be more individual and very specific campaigns. The other thing is we've then got to have a mechanism for how people ask to spend that money. So if we have money, it's not just like you say, hey, I need $5 or this. That's not the way it works. We'll have a form, you fill it out, the board reviews it. I mean, assuming it's not a fixed expense, but if it's something that is an optional kind of expenditure, there's a process. So
yeah, the way I kind of foresee it going is we will approve an annual budget, so we'll all have a copy of what our budget is. It will be, maybe about just over $1,000, whatever. And it will very clearly state line by line it's not a ton of items. It's just, it's a handful of items. And then we, on a case-by-case basis, if we want to withdraw funds for purposes, we'll get board approval.
Yep, the board has to approve all expenditures. You'll see them every month. Any other questions? Carolyn.
And I mean nothing about Ben by this, but the smart process too is you always have a two-party system on checking money in and money out.
Right.
So,
yep. Checks and balances. Okay. Anything else that we need to discuss on this issue right now? We beat it to death? Okay, good. Okay, that's all I've got. Anybody else have anything for this evening?
One thing for Josh, and I was gonna text you or chat you, but for the newsletter, maybe just a little snippet or a note in there, thanking the fire department. So I live over by the fire, like around the block from the big fire at Fifth and West Highland, and they were out there all hours of the night. So I think it was a tragic thing, but you know, it's a job where you don't need them until you need them. And then, you know, so there was a great response in the neighborhood. So I don't know, something nice to add.
Yeah, that's
great. Yeah, I'm afraid I wasn't aware of that one, but I'll follow up. Maybe we can connect offline. And that's a good opportunity for me just to kind of put a general plug in, folks. So I do take notes and I look at the minutes for the newsletter of each monthly meeting. Particularly if you're on a committee and you guys are doing something that you think is particularly interesting that needs to be in the newsletter, please feel free to shoot me an email, even if you think I already should know it, whatever. Like, I'm always happy to get multiple notices about things because stuff falls through the cracks and we don't necessarily cover all the details of everything in the monthly meeting. So my typical pattern is going to be trying to put it together the weekend after this meeting. So like for this meeting, I'll be working on it for this weekend. It'll probably go out Saturday or Sunday. So anytime between now and say Saturday morning, if you can shoot me anything you think would be in the email, and that goes for anybody, not just committee chairs, but just shoot me anything. I'd be delighted to get it. Thank you.
And we try to publish on Monday morning because that way, if there are committee meetings that week, people have at least some time to know that. Otherwise, if we miss the date, then we're publishing past stuff. Carolyn?
I just want to say in front of everyone that I really appreciated Don Harper's enormous help on getting together with me to get a list of all the parks on Queen Anne, which he has this encyclopedic knowledge of, and not only a list of them and where they were, but amenities and so forth. So thank you so much, Don.
And you will all see the output from this imaginative collaboration on the website soon. So there will be some resources there and you'll get to see all the lists of parks with the amenities and the public can see it. So it'll be a good thing.
Paula, two quick things. What did we decide to do about the tree on Queen Anne Avenue, first of all?
We
the
have
donations you asked for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we've got a tree. And I got the blank sign today and I'm gonna write Queen Anne Community Council on it and go put it on a tree.
But you ask us each to contribute. Are we going to wait for Sean to put something online?
No, I'll get back to each of you asking you to send me $10.
Mail it to you directly, or okay, you're going to tell us how to do it.
Yeah, I'll take care of that. Yeah.
And then one last issue. What did we ever decide to do regarding thanking Ellen Monrad? I haven't heard anything.
Beth and Don and Margaret worked on something, and there's actually, I believe they have a gift, a recognition gift for her. And I think it's been a matter of getting together. I don't know. Don, Margaret, do you have any update on that? Beth's not here, so.
Maybe Margaret knows something. Last that we talked, it was in Beth's hands and I never followed up.
That's correct. The last night it was in Beth's hands. We're trying to figure out how we were going to do it or whether or not Ellen was even wanting to do anything and getting together because she's kind of shy about that kind of stuff. And so that's where we are. Beth has the last correspondence on it. And I did approach Ellen at one point and she was like, I don't know. And she never really got back to me.
And I know that Beth talked to her probably 2 weeks ago now, because she's been gone for part of the holiday week and then she's gone this week. So I'm sure when she gets back, she'll get back on it. So That's what I know, Sharon. I haven't been involved in it.
I just don't want it to fall through the cracks.
No. So, okay. Okay, is that it? Everything? We are officially adjourned then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank
share.
you.
I'll
Bye,
share.
everybody.
Bye.
You, good night.